Good morning and happy Sunday, everyone. This is going to be a little bit political this morning. There's only so long I can go without saying something, so I'm saying something. Anyway, I first want to state that this is from me. None of this has anything to do with the work I do, and I can work with Republicans and Democrats and Trump people, which I consider different. Trump and Republican, it is very different. Um, anyway, I wanted to start out, aside from that, just disclaimer, I wanted to start out by stating that who you vote for is your choice. And I'm not trying to get you to vote for Biden, even though I'm voting for Biden and I wish everybody would. That's not the purpose. I love all of you. And if I have Republican people as friends and family members, or if I have a Democratic friends and family members, liberal or conservative or Trump, different category. Again, I support you. I support your right to choose that. You do need to know some facts, though, and I'm hoping that everyone's doing their research and looking at real factual information and not just bluster and competitive, this versus that, liberal versus conservative, or Trump versus Democrat. Um, Look it up. Look up some of the lies that Trump told in the debate the other night. It was astounding. I mean, really astounding. And I can name a few of those. Before I do, though, I want to make sure that you know in the writing that I've got with this, and you can read that instead of listening to me if you want to. It's actual factual information. It's not made up and it's not from a biased site. In fact, the Project 2025 plan, which I really want you to look at, by the Republicans, it's on the Republican site. Okay. And also there's another site by Reddit that kind of breaks down and gives a few little key points. If you agree with those things, all the more power to you, vote for Trump. Okay. If you don't agree with those things, think about it though, at least. It's not a competition. I have no hate in my heart. I love everyone. So if somebody came up to me tomorrow and said they were supporting Trump, I would say, I love you, and well, whoever you choose to vote for, that's fine. Um, I don't allow arguing on Facebook, so keep scrolling if you don't agree with what I'm saying. Although most of what I'm saying, well, all of what I'm saying is fact, and I might put a few opinions in there, but it's these I will say when it's opinion. First of all, I think we all can acknowledge Biden had an absolutely horrible, horrendous debate. That was not the Biden that I hear speaking a lot at campaign rallies when I watch those, all that. In fact, in the 48 hours after the debate, he did two more engagements. One was at a LGBTQ plus rally with Elton John, and the other was a regular campaign rally. If you look those up, just in the 48 hours past the debate, Biden sounded strong. His voice was better. He was more emphatic. Always kind and with empathy, of course, but because that's who he is. But it was much different. And a lot of people like me and liberal people and Democrats, we love to fight amongst each other. It's one of our favorite things to do as a Democrat. We're not all on the same page. It's a big tent party and we all argue constantly. So some people saying Biden should step out of the race and some people saying he should stay in. Um, I'm voting for the platform. And I do appreciate what Biden's done in the last 4 years. Opposite of what Trump states. Biden, actually, under Biden, the crime rate has gone down, not up, down. It's something like 15% down. And it's also almost 15% down even on homicides and violent crime. So you need to know that. The other is immigration crime. Immigration crime is a fraction of what crime committed by citizens of the United States commit. Just a fraction of it. And yes, there have been there was one horrendous crime, and that's the one Trump pointed out in the debate. That was horrible. And I have nothing but, oh gosh, it breaks my heart. So yeah, there's still immigrant crime. There's immigrant crime under Donald Trump, and there's immigrant crime under Biden, but not near as much as you should fear crime by your own countrymen, because much more of that, something like 75, and I'm this opinion, I think it's like 75% better chance to be hurt or have a crime committed against you than violent or non-violent about American system than a immigrant citizen, not system. So anyway, it's just a big, and that's weighted for population as well. So I'm not just stating, there's very, if you compare the number of immigrants to the number of legal citizens, you could skew that in some odd ways. That would actually help Biden if you skewed it that way. But if you take just looking at the percentage of population that's illegal immigrant, and percentage of population that is United States citizen, it's down. So it's very rare that you would get hurt by an immigrant. Drugs coming across the border, always been a problem, still a problem. Trump didn't fix it. Biden really hasn't fixed it. Although I want to state something about the border, and not only about drugs crossing the border or illegal aliens, but something about illegal immigrants coming across the border. And I hate to use illegal because illegal, no person is illegal. They may cross the border illegally, but the person is not illegal. Biden attempted to do something last year by getting a bipartisan group together and by strong Republicans in the House and the Senate and Democrats in the House and Senate. And they came up with a border deal that was the strongest border deal to date. Even Trump did not do this. And he separated families. Biden stopped that. Thank goodness they're not engaged. And Obama did some of that too. Yeah, it was there during Obama and Trump. Did nothing to stop it. In fact, I don't think it really bothered. Don't think it really bothered Trump. Okay, so it bothered Biden. He did something about it. So that being stated, he came up. This group came up, a bipartisan group out of the House and Senate, came up with an immigration plan that was already passed. It was the strongest immigration plan in history of this country, and I'm not exaggerating like Trump does. It's always the greatest. It's always the best. This actually was the largest bill that would address this problem. It not only addressed illegal crossings, it also addressed the system after somebody comes in seeking asylum and what should happen with that person, and treated with respect and dignity. So all that's out there. There were so many lies. Almost everything Trump stated was a lie, in my opinion. No, not my opinion. Actually, you can back it up. Look up facts. It was amazing what he was stating. But he said it with vigor, much more vigor than Biden. Biden just did not have the comebacks. He could not. He was just not fast enough on his feet. And I will admit that. So, if you want to hold that against him, that's fine. I think he's done a tremendous job. And one of the ways he's done a tremendous job is because he just doesn't depend on himself. He's not a dictator. He is a person of the people. He's a person that believes in the branches of government. And he has come up with bipartisan deals that are amazing. So the immigration policy that they came up with and he agreed to, and then Trump called it off because it would not work well for him in the election if Biden was to get that passed. Women's health rights being taken away is horrendous. And I know some people do not agree with abortion. I personally, I'm not a pro abortion person. I do believe abortions are needed at times, and I do believe it's up to the woman and her doctor. So I'm not going to interfere with any of that, and our government certainly doesn't need to interfere with it. I'm rambling just a little bit. It's going to be a long video, not too long, I hope, because most of it I've written. So anyway, so I wanted to bring that up. The migrant crime low, crime rate overall low, down by like around 15%. The economy, I need to bring that up. Biden's economy has grown leaps and bounds. In fact, the deficit's been cut in half since Trump left office. It was sky high under Trump. He spent a lot, and not just on the pandemic. He spent a lot. And he gave great tax incentives to the wealthy. People making over 500,000 and people making over $1 million a year really got big tax breaks. There were some breaks during COVID that were passed by a Democratic Congress. I'm sorry, it was. They passed it, and he did sign that, and then he insists on signing his name to it. So anybody that got checks saw that Donald Trump signature. You can look all this up. It's true. So I guess this comes down to, do you believe that Biden's age will prevent him from doing a great job over the next 4 years? He will be our oldest living president in office ever. Um, so that's a lot. Donald Trump is only 3 years younger, so don't get too crazy with that. But he did have a lot more bigger about him. I mean, he was able to stand up tall. What Biden's done is surround himself with people that know what they're doing. And excuse the language, they know what the hell they're doing. They are really um, talented, smart, intelligent people running our government all around Biden. That's why I trust Biden, because he picked the right people to run certain things. So I'm a Biden voter. And whether you are or not, none of my business. You don't have to tell me. You can post something on your page that you're a Trump supporter. That's great. Fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I won't even post anything. Unless you ask me to post something, I will. But no, I won't. I won't debate anybody on that. I think it's silly. People are acting like this is a sports team, or like you were a Republican always, so you've got to vote Republican again. But take a look at what's called the Project 2025. Look it up. There's links to it in what I've written. If you want to just go straight to the links and look it up. This Project 2025 is horrendous, and Republicans have signed off on it, and Trump has signed off on it. All this is fact, and it is on the Republican website. And it's just amazing to me. It's the Republican Heritage, the Heritage site. It has it up. And look it up. Trump's already signed off on it. Republicans have already signed off on it. Just a few things that are in there, and there's also some the text of what I wrote. It will stop the protections gay persons have in employment. So you can get fired for any reason. If you're gay, you can get they can fire you for no reason at all. He's going to, and this is all in the plan, okay? They've said the silent part out loud, I think. It's always been silent for, conservatives on some things that they don't say that out loud, but this is all out loud. They just said it. So yes, you could, and we don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do, even though Biden did codify the law for gay rights and gay marriage. Gay employment, and Trump could easily do something with that. And I know the Republican Congress will. So people like my children and me could get fired just for being gay. I won't in the organization I work with, because would never do that. But there are a lot of people at risk of that. So some other things that are in the Department of Education, the plan calls for doing away with the Department of Education completely. Now it will go to the states at that point, and that's a lot of people that work for the Department of Education in the United States government. That will then go to the states, but the funding will be decreased, so you won't get near as much funding. So the Department of Education is at risk. It will. I'll look up just a few things. This is what I wrote. I'm just looking off what I wrote. The increase of presidential power. So they want to give the president more power under Trump. So it does away with the three equal branches of government, and it gives more power to Trump to sign executive actions. And with the latest Supreme Court decision that just came out a couple of days ago, I think it was Monday, yesterday, or a day before yesterday, that makes it even scarier, because they're saying that the president would have immunity from anything he does in office, not out of office. So Trump's not immune from all the things he did out of office, but in office, the president would have the ability to do criminal acts and have immunity for it. That is scary for the United States. I'm sorry. And I'm not, just take Trump out of the equation. Any president. I don't want Biden to have that either. I wouldn't want Obama, and I wouldn't want Bush or Reagan or anybody to have that power. We were founded on the three equal branches of government. So that's really scary. They're giving him more power. Also, the plan calls for doing away with anybody that's the nonpartisan people in the Capitol that work for the government, and just hiring loyalists. In other words, only if you're loyal to Trump. So you have to pledge that loyalty to keep your job. We've had nonpartisan workers in the White House, in our Capitol, and all of these jobs that, IRS, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Education, which will be done away with. So we've always had people that could work with Republican and Democrat because they had institutional knowledge of how to get things done, the way to do things legally. So if you're going to make somebody, give a loyalty check on somebody before they can stay employed, and that's really what the plan states. This is fact. Look it up. I've linked it there. Go to the Heritage site, Republican website, you'll see it. Project 2025. So there's a lot going on. I don't want this to sound like I'm just like preaching. Everyone has the right to make their decision. If you agree with some of those things, and that's a small slice, a small slice. There's another link in what I wrote that also has just some of the main points pulled out. But so you can look at that too. The Project 2025 is 900 pages. You're not going to get through it. I couldn't get through it. I tried to read. I got about 300 pages in, and then I went to the highlights that I could find as I went, kind of skimmed through it. And I'll tell my mom that speed reading class did work out for me. I still use it sometimes, although I hate to read a regular book not by speed reading, but I can do a document by speed reading, which is great. So anyway, I didn't think it worked, but I found myself doing it. So I also put a link on what the Democratic platform is. So you can go to the Democrat site and look what they stand for and what they're planning for the next 4 years if we go to or in office. Now a lot of you state that there will be stopgaps on what Trump can do legally, but I think the Supreme Court has shown us there won't be those stopgaps. And I think that if you have a Republican Senate and Congress and a Republican president, or Senate and House and a Republican president, they'll do whatever they want. Believe me, there won't be anybody to stop them. Supreme Court's not going to stop them. But a lower court might, but not the Supreme Court. The last thing I want to state is about the election in 2020. There is still this huge lie out there that Trump actually won that election. This wasn't even as close as Hillary and Trump. It wasn't as close as, certainly not as close as Bush and Gore election. Biden won the election. He won 4 states that, that put him over the top. He could only, if he only won 2 of those, he would have been over the top. And by pretty wide margins, not huge. We're split 50-50 in this country. So not huge margins, but by sizable margins. So there were all kinds of court cases, and you can look them up. There were like 68, 69 court cases filed by Trump. That's fine and that's legal, and everyone that ran for office needs to be able to file a court case. These were thrown out. There was no basis, and the ones that were heard showed that there was no election interference. None. There was no election interference. So let's go to January 6th. January 6th. And Trump fans, is that what you call them? Supporters, did attack the Capitol. Yes, there was a noose outside for Vice President Mike Pence, which could be one of the reasons why 41 of the 44 people that work for Trump will not endorse him for this election. That were in his administration, that worked directly for him, will not endorse him. That's an amazing stat. So back to January 6th, we have people in prison for January 6th. Now, Trump has stated he will pardon those people. They were patriots. And kind of like you can go back and have flashbacks to what Trump did, at different times. A peaceful Black Lives Matter was interrupted by violence. So from Trump supporters and from law enforcement. But when the attack to the Capitol happened, Trump did tweet out to stand back and calm down. That was 3 hours after the riot started. You had a panic, and he stayed in the debate. It was Nancy Pelosi's responsibility. This was not Nancy Pelosi's responsibility. What he misunderstood when Nancy Pelosi was making a statement about that is she stated Trump did not do his duty, and it fell to her and Mike Pence, her as Speaker of the House and the Vice President, had to try to do something, and they couldn't do it because Trump had blocked the National Guard from coming in at that point. So, and a Capitol police officer was killed in that, and I wonder if Trump has given a call to that mother. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Maybe some opinion right there. And not opinion, but just crass way to say something. Anyway, the people that stormed the Capitol were not patriots. I'm sorry, they were not. They were lied to. Some of them are victims of Donald Trump. Um, okay, so I'll get off January 6th. That was a horrendous thing. It looked like we lived in a third world country. And you can go back and watch those videos and the crashing of the windows and the defecation on Nancy Pelosi's desk and people hiding and people scrambling and trying to get out of there before they were killed. And nooses hanging outside for Republican Mike Pence. But this is the person that you're thinking about voting for. So please think about it at least. So it was an insurrection. It was not a nice walkthrough tour of the Capitol. It was an insurrection in our country, in the United States of America. It's all about our democracy. You know, there's, I think it was that Maya Angelou that they believe what something, believe what a person shows you about themselves the first time. And we know. So anyway, so that's the January 6th thing. That just, it's still replacing my mind and the tears that were coming in my eyes as I saw our nation's capital being invaded and the death of that Capitol police officer and numerous other injuries to other Capitol police officers that were trying to defend our capital. And calling it off 3 hours after it started, and testimony to show that he was wanting to join them, which would have just been amazing. Maybe it should have happened. Maybe that way people could see who he was if he joined in and joined in the insurrection. But he was stopped by the Secret Service that were driving him. So all of that, those are facts. Those aren't debatable. He won the election. He did during the election, after he lost all the cases, another illegal thing that Donald Trump did was he and Giuliani came up with this plan for fake electors. And so they came up within some of these states that have swung, Arizona, Georgia, some of those states, they elected Republican, and if you know how this works, basically you have electors from your state that are chosen by the party that won. So since Biden won, Biden had the legal authority to have his electors come to the Capitol to certify the election. Trump and Giuliani hatched a plan to have fake electors show up, and they actually did all the documents, fake documents, showed up at the Capitol to show that they were the real electors. They posed as real electors. Yes, there are big convictions and still court cases going on about this too. And I've heard some of them talk and say they were duped. They thought that they were doing the right thing. They weren't. Okay. So I just wanted to, I guess and the whole thing about Trump is persecuted. Trump is a multi-millionaire. He is not being persecuted by Biden. I'm sorry. That's just so way off. And the Justice Department had nothing to do with his indictment and his conviction in New York. Nothing to do with it. That was not only the sleeping with a porn star, which Trump denies they slept with a porn star, although we heard him on tape saying grab him by the pee, and that he was found guilty, and it was a civil lawsuit of another woman that he forced himself on sexually in a dressing room at a department store. And she won that case. It was past the statute of limitations. She won that case. And not only did she win it, he went and started talking negatively about her. She took him back to court and won millions of dollars because he was saying false things about her and defaming her. And she had the right to do that. He was found guilty. The other is this last case with Stormy Daniels. And if you listen to Stormy Daniels' testimony, you would kind of get the idea that he probably did sleep with her. And that was while Melania was pregnant with Barron. And I wonder why Melania is not showing up to the debates or any campaign events. It's a good question to ask yourself. And I'm no Melania fan either, but I don't hate her. I don't even hate Trump. I love people. So I've gone off on tangents because I wrote some things up that I wanted to post, but I didn't think of all I wanted to state to go with that. This is long. I know it's long. I hope you listen. I hope you know that people that you love are in danger with Trump as president. I hope you know that I hope you know that we know that Biden is old and Trump is old too. I didn't know if he's gonna get down those steps on the airplane. You should go back and watch that. But Biden surrounds himself with great people. So I have no fear. Even if Biden wasn't vigorous like he was the 2 days after the debate or the one day after the debate, two speeches, he's vigorous enough to get through, I think. And there's no dementia, none. You can ask him any question. We wouldn't have known that on the debate stage, and that's horrible that we didn't, because he probably won't get a chance to debate Trump again because Trump loved that one. So he's not going to debate Biden again, I'm sure. Anyway, I had to state all this. My vote is not on. I didn't even talk about infrastructure, and the largest infrastructure plan the United States has gone through, and it's passed green energy and climate change and all these things. And he stands up to dictators. I'm sorry, Trump doesn't. He says he does, but then he sits down and he comes away from it. With Putin, and said, "Oh, I believe him. Go back and look. Go back and look. Look at the facts. 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 Don't just believe me." Um, okay. I love you all. I really do post this out of love. Not only for all of you, but for our country. And this is July 3rd, and tomorrow's the 4th. It's just an important thing to know that no matter who you're voting for, and no matter who I'm voting for, we all love this country. We may want different things. We may want equity, which is another thing in Project 2025 was the Stop Teaching Diversity and Stop Diversity and Equity programs are over. Okay. So anyway, go read Project 2025 or look at the key points of it. Look it up. Project 2025. You'll see. And believe me, you can also look up if Trump has agreed to these things and if Republican politicians have agreed to these things. So I'm voting for empathy of a man that I know has a great heart. I'm voting for a man that has what 40 something years, maybe more experience in doing things and vice president and as a senator. Um, I'm voting for a man that you can feel the empathy coming from him. He's lived through so much. His wife gets killed in a car accident. His son, a veteran hero, dies, and he's got a son with a drug addiction problem that has been found guilty. Um, just like Trump was found guilty by a jury of his peers, not by Washington, D.C., not by Biden, not by the Justice Department, even. Um, so just please think about it. More than think about that, look up facts. Okay. I love you all. I truly, truly love you all, no matter who you're supporting. I love you. And I'll always say that. And I'll always back that up with my actions. So I just want you to know that. I just want you to know there are some of us Christians out there that believe the only choice in this election is Biden because we do not agree with the behaviors of someone that has been immoral, has hurt people, so many people. So I love you all. That's all I'll say. I hate to stop talking because there's so much more to say. I'm going to stop it here. Love you all. If you don't agree with it, don't post anything. It's fine. Scroll past. If you agree with me, put a heart. I'd love to see hearts. But please listen or read. Just read it. Just read the Project 225 statement. This had a lot more in it than that, but read what I wrote if you don't want to listen to all this. Love you all, and I hope you have a great Wednesday and a very happy 4th of July tomorrow. Let's all celebrate together, not as one count versus the other count. It's not about that. Tomorrow's about our country. Let's all celebrate it together. I love you all, and talk to you soon. Bye.